Thank you, Nick. Who was the girl singing up here? What's her name? Talia? Is it Talia? Talia. I'm going to say, I'm a little disappointed, Talia. You're an Ignite winner, and you're kind of singing like I would sing. I think that at the end she should sing again and like sing fancy, like an Idol winner would sing. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm putting the pressure on Talia here, but I just thought that if you got a gift, you should use it. I could sing like that. Happy birthday. I won't, but I could. So, Armed for Life is my business, if you didn't know that. Sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. Armed for Life is my business. I go into schools and I do workshops and that kind of stuff. I talk about self-esteem and bullying and decision-making, and it's good. I love it, actually. It's something that I really enjoy. It's what I do during the day. At night time, I look after my son. Like I said, every time I come, I'm going to bring a video or two of Kale and something he's been doing recently. So I got 2 videos. They're only like 30 seconds each. One of them is Kale. This was last Sunday after church. We were coming back from church, and there's like a window for him. If we don't get him to bed at a certain time, he just starts falling asleep in the car. And if he falls asleep in the car, then that's game over. He won't go to sleep when we get back home. So no matter what, I have to keep him awake. That's my job. While my wife is driving, I keep Kale awake. And it was relatively difficult last Sunday. So we're going to jump in. I just shoved food in his mouth to wake him up. And then we kept going. This is like windows down, trucks, trains, everything. Kale. Stay awake, buddy. Kale, come on. You gotta stay awake. This sounds so cruel. Keep eating. Look, food. I know. We've lost him. Kale. Okay, stop it there. So, like, he just kept on going. I had to start tickling his leg. It's the only thing that kept him up. So that was the first one. The second one's about it's probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and we have this thing Saturday afternoon, Daddy and Cal time. We go shopping together. That sounds very manly, but I make it manly. But I don't know. But we were playing with a little ball. He kept dropping his toys, so I just started giving him this ball, and this was his reaction. Can we turn that up?
Keep moving, guys. Keep moving. Look at Stella. Can you make it?
One more. Here we go. Keep chopping. Sorry. There we go, that was enough. It was the funniest thing to him to watch Daddy running around, especially when it started going under the aisles and I was running into people trying to chase the ball. That was really funny. And so he wanted to do it for the rest of the afternoon. There's something about kids that once they find something fun that they like doing, they never want to stop, ever. But he's a cool kid. If I'm like all over the place, I'm a little weird tonight. I've been in the sun for like half of the day, and then in the afternoon, I was in a car accident, so kind of a little all over the place, and I'm tired, and my back's sore, and because we got hit behind the car going about 40, 50 Ks. So if I'm weird tonight, there's a reason. But I guess I'm weird every week, so or every time I'm here. So we're talking about taking out the trash. Yes, you guys been talking about this for a while. Like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 5? Okay. So we're talking about taking out the trash for 5 weeks, and when I looked up trash in the dictionary, it said unwanted or undesirable waste material. So we're talking about getting rid of this undesirable waste material. And we're obviously not talking about physical trash. We're talking about emotional, spiritual, psychological trash, the kind of stuff that can drag us down and completely affect our lives. Like it can affect us so deeply that that we never recover from it when we carry a certain amount or a certain kind of trash around. Another way you could actually put it is, if you're talking about emotional stuff, or emotional trash is emotional baggage. You hear people have emotional baggage. They're carrying around emotional stuff that they've been through in the past. We carry it around, and it makes things more difficult. And there is a whole bunch of different kinds of trash. You know, when you talk about your actions, destructive behavior, like full-on partying or full-on drinking or getting into sexual activity before we're old enough, or whatever it is, whatever destructive behavior that we're talking about, it can be an action that is seen as trash. It's unwanted and it's undesirable because it affects us in a really negative way. Or thoughts. Thoughts can be deemed as trash. Negative thoughts. When I talk about self-esteem in schools, I always end up talking about something practical. And with self-esteem, I talk about the fact that we think around 45,000 negative thoughts every single day. And those 45,000 negative thoughts just continue to race around in our heads, and they affect how we feel. They affect who we are as individuals. That's trash because it affects everything. It affects how we see things, how we experience things, how we hear what people say, how we experience what happens in the classroom. It affects everything. So negative thoughts are like trash. And, obviously the Bible has something to say about almost everything. But if you turn to Philippians, and this is a verse that is talked about a lot, Philippians 4 verse 8. Says, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is righteous, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. They're the kind of things that we're meant to think on, but we don't. We think on negative thoughts about ourselves. We think on negative thoughts about others. It affects us. And so I would deem that as trash, or even attitudes. Trashy, stinky, dirty attitudes. Really, really self-focused attitudes. You know, that the world revolves around me and I am the most important thing in the world. That is a trashy attitude. And it's one that, as teenagers, it's hard to break, but it's actually really important. Being the chaplain at Winthrop, I'm pushing this point all the time. Whenever we do a fundraiser, every term we do a fundraiser. Term 1 is World's Greatest Shave. Term 2 is Machine Gun Preacher. Term 3 is 40-Hour Famine. And we combined with Somerville this year, because next year we will be one school. We managed to raise $38,000. The way we did that is by going, you know what? I am not the most important person in the world. And the whole world doesn't revolve just around me. It should be about others and what others are going through and the difficulty others are facing. But we can struggle to do that when we are so self-focused. That is a stinky, trashy attitude. But it's one that we so often have. And it's very normal to be self-focused or self-centered, but it's something that we have to push against and to try and change. Even just general bad attitudes are in that trashy attitude category. So why is trash bad? When we talk about emotional trash or spiritual trash, why is it bad? Why do we need to get rid of it? Why is there is it the whole term, Nick, that you're talking about it? Why are we talking about getting rid of trash for a whole term? Surely there's a reason why this subject was chosen. Surely there's a reason why we're spending an entire term on it. Why do we need to get rid of it? There were 3 points that I thought of. Briefly, having the car accident kind of messed up my time frame and getting this message together. But when I was thinking about it, there were 3 points that came to me. Number one is that when we don't get rid of the trash, when we allow it just to sit there and to fester, and for example, you leave trash in the house, obviously the perfect analogy is like the bin in your kitchen. You leave it there, let's say even just for 3 weeks. that will smell, right? I don't know about your bins. I leave my bin there for like a week, and it starts to smell. You got the meat in there, and it's kind of going off, and it starts to stink a little, or there's a whole bunch of stuff we put in the bin or in the trash that smells bad. And it starts to go off, and it starts to smell the whole kitchen out, and then the whole house out, right? It's the same with our trash. Our emotional, our spiritual trash, when we don't get rid of it, it starts to smell. It starts to go bad. It starts to affect who we are on the inside as people. It's restrictive. You see, trash is restrictive. It stops us from living a full life. It slows us down. It kind of puts boundaries around us that aren't meant to be there. We won't make certain decisions or even take healthy risks because of the trash that we carry around. And there's usually fear attached to trash. When there's certain trash in our life, whatever that trash is based around, any of those kind of trashes we were talking about, the thoughts or the actions or the attitudes, there's usually fear linked to it. A fear of, trying to take risks, healthy risks. Well, there's a fear there because if I fail, then I'm a loser. Or, there's, for example, the whole negative thinking. Often we think negative thoughts about ourselves because we hear from others or we're afraid of what others think of us. Fear can be linked and it restricts us. And if we don't take out the trash, we will be limited in our ability to form good relationships. All kinds of relationships. Relationships with our friends. Relationships with our family. Relationships with a partner. At whatever point we get into a relationship with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, it restricts us from forming healthy relationships. When there's trash there, it changes how we see things. It changes, every situation that we see, it's almost like there's a filter there. And it changes how we see it. It changes how we hear things. It changes everything. And so it changes our relationships and the ability to even build strong ones or healthy ones or positive ones. If you're the kind of person that bounces from friendship to friendship to friendship, maybe you're in that boat. If you're the kind of person you don't get along with your dad or your mum or your brother or your sister or any of your siblings, maybe this applies to you. Because often, when we've got lots of problems around us with all the people that are around us, often the problem is with us, not with everybody around us. There's a pattern there. And when we are holding on to trash, the attitudes or the thoughts or the actions or any of that kind of stuff, when we're holding on to that and we're not letting go of it, it affects our relationships. And it even affects our relationship with God. Because all those, the trash, especially the actions, it's seen as sin. So it even separates us from God. So it messes with all of our relationships. And relationships are essential for us to be happy and to be, in a good state, to actually have joy. The second point, so it restricts us. Stops us from growing, stops us from achieving, stops us from, moving forward. It's also compressive. It presses down on us. When we are holding trash, it's like there is a weight on top of us. And it squashes who we are, and it squashes who we're meant to be. When there's a whole bunch of trash on us. And it can even squash the joy out of life. So the only way we can get joy is by doing stupid things or taking unhealthy risks. Again, another trashy action. So